Hi, Romans here and welcome to another music review. I review every album from a viewpoint of a musician, as I'm a singer, songwriter and a bass player for my own group Jakobe, and more than 2 years ago we released our debut album called Pursuits in Life. What makes it unique is that it's a heavy prog rock without guitars. Instead you have drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards. You can check out all of our music videos on my YouTube channel.
Open your eyes and take a look at our society. We wanna rise despite our decay of morality. How many more signs do we need until agreed that we are wrong?
And in the description of all these videos you will find all the information about where is the record available. It's available on all digital platforms like Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, but also in this digipack version of a CD with a very beautifully illustrated 20 pages long booklet. So in case you want one, all you need to do is contact me by an email, on Facebook or on Instagram, or you can get one through Bandcamp as well. And today I'm going to review the new album from Kansas, The Absence of Presence.
Music review. Music review.
Kansas is a very interesting band. I was thinking about it the other day, most of the prog bands, and Kansas is one of those bands that if you get into this genre, you will stumble upon them relatively early on. Most of these bands like Pink Floyd, Yes, Genesis, ELP, King Crimson, Gent Giant, Vandergraaf Generator, Camel and so on, all of these bands are from Britain. One of the exceptions, Rush, they're from Canada, and the other one, Kansas, they're from America. But, how much bigger America is compared to Britain, and Kansas is probably the only, famous 70s prog rock group from America I can think of. There were, of course, the first 3 albums from Journey, Frank Zappa, but, that's it. Most of the other bands just were not really famous. And even when you compare Kansas to all of these other groups, they were much less complex, there was much less twiddling, their music is much more accessible. And that also resulted in them being one of a very few prog bands to have really big hits from the 70s, like Dust in the Wind, a song known by everybody, Carry On My Wayward Son, one of the best songs ever. That song is amazing. Also, Steve Walsh, in my opinion, was just absolutely phenomenal singer in his prime. And in the last 20 years, Kansas released 2 albums, and their previous record from 2016 was actually their first new material in 16 years. And the new album, The Absence of Presence, which I'm a bit late to because it came out in mid-July. This album is actually their 16th studio album. And interestingly, majority of the music on this album is written by new members. The only 2 founding members are the drummer and the guitar player, none of whom were very crucial in terms of writing of the music, because the music was always written by different band members. Also, there's a bass player who joined the group in mid-80s. But even when we look at this album, there are 9 songs, 6 of which were written by the guitar player Rizvi. I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right, but he's been in a band since 2016, so the previous album was his debut with the group, and 3 of the songs and many of the lyrics were written by Brislin, the keyboard player who's been in a band since 2018. He also sings on one of the tracks. So this is pretty interesting. The band carries on with the music written by 2 people who were not really there for a very long time. So there's this young energy, and I would say that the band sounds very much like Kansas did in the past. And that's amazing that they sort of fuse this 70s heavier prog-ish side of Kansas with a more accessible poppy side from the late 70s and 80s. And it all sounds modern, it sounds very Kansas, and it sounds great. I've heard this album 6 times as of now, so let's look at the tracks. The album opens up with an 8.5 minutes long magnum opus of the record, the title track, The Absence of Presence. And I like that ambient beginning, then it sort of rocks up and we hear the violin, and this is really Kansas as we want it to be. Also, there's this one totally Pink Floyd moment here. Another solid track, Throwing Mountains. I like that opening riff. And there's also this mid-section with another really great riff. One of the things that made Kansas sound very unique and different from all the other prog bands was the usage of violin. Violin was not there just as an arrangement thing. They actually had a violin player, so it was one of the leading instruments. And for example, Jets Overhead, this is a track where we get a violin solo. This is almost AOR-ish track, kind of reminiscent of their early 80s stuff. Propulsion 1 is a short instrumental interlude. Memories Down the Line. Now, this is a beautiful, beautiful slow track. It has a great melody, and also I do have to say that the singer is very good. He has very, very similar tone to Steve Walsh, who once again was one of the best singers I've ever heard. But I mean, this singer is pretty close. Pretty close.
All the things they tried that never worked. Experience is all the key. Send these memories down the line.
Circus of Illusion is another great song. I love those U2-ish guitars here.
With nothing up my sleeve, I compel you to believe.
We yet again have this melodic chorus like from their 80s records.
Your heart pounding heart and fails. You take the chance and step into the circus of illusion.
Another great melodic chorus is in the following track, Animals on the Roof.
Fall in line and keep on marching through. They never stop to see the world like we do.
We get one more slower tune, very orchestral, Never.
Never took the time to find the things inside that I need. Habits are hard sometimes to break.
The final track on the album may be actually my favorite one, the song The River Sang. This is the only song sang by Brislin, the keyboard player, and he is actually very good as a singer. And it's a very artistic song that has that 70s vibe.
I launch a final flare to catch the eye of those who care.
As you can probably tell already, I really enjoyed this album, and I think I've listened to their previous album from 2016, and I basically have no sound memory of it. I think I didn't really like it. I wasn't a big fan of that. I would have to revisit that to remember anything, but I really enjoyed this album, and it's been a while, like a few years since I've been through all of their albums, and it kind of makes me hungry to revisit their discography. So yeah, it's very interesting what I've already mentioned, that the band continues with band members who are relatively new for the lineup of the band. But yeah, I think this band couldn't sound more like they did before. Like, this is really what we come for with Kansas, and I don't think any fan should be disappointed with this album. Great job. Also, if you like this review and if you like the reviews I'm making, consider supporting me by purchasing my debut album Persids in Life, because I include audio samples and thus I make my reviews the most informative and entertaining to watch. I usually run a risk of getting a copyright claim, meaning that I will never be able to make any money off these videos. So the only way how you can support me is by purchasing my debut album. Have you heard this album already? You can let me know in the comment section below whether you agreed or disagreed with me. If you are a Kansas fan, you can let me know how well do you think it compares to their previous albums, maybe which one is your favorite one. You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find links to both in the description of this video below. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. You can check out my own original music, my live performances, my worst to best series, and quite a lot of other reviews as well. Thanks a lot for watching.